Today's tale, this one's full of military intrigue, imperial drama, outlaw shootouts, and a good old-fashioned cartridge redesign that birthed the whole family tree. That's right, today we're talking about the 44 Smith & Wesson American and its more refined offspring, the 44 Russian. How do you do, folks, and welcome back to Chambered in History. We're diving into the story of cartridges that made history themselves. That's right, we're popping open the brass cases and spilling out the history one round at a time. What started as a bold American design turned into a cartridge revolution thanks to, you guessed it, the Russians. So buckle in, because this is one of the most pivotal turning points in revolver cartridge history. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep up with us. We're doing this once a week. We're going one by one. I have a list of about 286 that I'm doing, so if you want to stick around for that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell or whatever it is. Yeah, also, I do have a mustache now. Deal with it. It's what's here. I'm kind of liking it, so this is what we're doing. Moving on. The story kicks off in 1869 when Smith & Wesson introduced their shiny new Model No. 3 revolver, America's first successful top-break auto-ejecting handgun. And with it came the 44 Smith & Wesson American, one of the first centerfire metallic cartridges to be offered in a military contract. But let's pause and appreciate what Smith & Wesson had just created. This wasn't just another ball and cap revolver conversion. This was a purpose-built breech-loading revolver. Just snap open the top and clink, all 6 spent cases pop out. This was a game changer in the 1860s. Much better. And with that game changer came a game-changing cartridge. Almost. The original 44 Smith & Wesson American round fired a .44 caliber heeled bullet, meaning the base of the bullet was smaller so that it could fit inside the case, while the part of the bullet that was visible was matching the diameter of the case itself. This is similar to rimfire rounds like the .22 long rifle, and while it made manufacturing much easier, it also came with some nasty side effects. Most notably, the bullet lube was on the outside of the round, meaning yes, all that dirt, grime, and pocket lint stuck right to it, which is not ideal for field use. Still, the 44 American packed a pretty good punch for its day. I mean, we're talking a .440 inch 218 grain bullet with 23 to 26 grains of black powder behind it, giving you anywhere from 725 to 750 feet per second and about 260 foot-pounds of energy. Smith & Wesson scored a huge win when the U.S. Army adopted their Model 3 and the 44 American cartridge in 1870 for cavalry trials. But the real twist came when the Russians got involved. Enter Alexander Gorlov, a Russian military attaché stationed in the United States. I think that was how you said that word. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know. In 1871, the Imperial Russian Army tested the Model 3 and liked what they saw. Almost. Gorlov had some complaints about the American cartridge itself. The outside heeled bullet, no bueno. Too dirty for Russian field conditions. The soft brass and case length needed improvement for reliable extraction and durability. They also wanted a heavier bullet and a little bit more punch. Smith & Wesson, eager to land their first major international military contract, agreed, and thus was born the 44 Smith & Wesson Russian. Yeah. To meet Russian demands, Smith & Wesson did several things. First, they shortened the bullet and lengthened the case from .91 inches to about .97 inches, which isn't that much, but I guess it was enough for what they wanted. They also dropped the heel design in favor of a inside lubricated bullet, which was actually a .429 inch bullet, meaning it's no longer a 44 to me, but whatever. And then the bullet weight was increased to 246 to 255 grains, still maintaining that 23 to 26 grains of black powder behind it. This meant that the chamber dimensions had to change too. The chamber now had a step or throat to accommodate the inside-seated bullet and to prevent 44 American rounds from being fired through Russian chambers. Performance-wise, the 44 Russian produced similar velocities but slightly increased muzzle energy, which meant it was around 750 feet per second, but due to it having a heavier bullet, it produced about 310 foot-pounds of energy over the 260 of the 44 American. However, it also did so with improved accuracy, less fouling, and better reliability in harsh conditions. Now, the Russians loved it, so they went ahead and ordered 130,000 Model 3 revolvers, all chambered in 44 Russian between 1871 and 1878. The 44 Russian wasn't just a Russian military round, though. It became a cultural icon. The story really takes off when Grand Duke Alexis, son of Tsar Alexis II, visited America in 1872. During his grand tour, he went on a buffalo hunt with none other than Buffalo Bill Cody and George Armstrong Custer. Smith & Wesson gifted a beautifully engraved Model 3 to Alexis, causing the revolver's prestige to skyrocket. Meanwhile, back home, the cartridge and revolver combo found favor in the likes of Jesse James and Bob Ford, John Wesley Hardin, and the James Younger gang. Why? Because the top break Model 3 was fast to reload and the 44 Russian was incredibly accurate. Now let's talk specs, because this is where the difference really shines between the 44 American and the 44 Russian. So first we have the 44 American, which has a case length of 0.91 inches, bullet diameter of 0.440, healed, a bullet weight of about 218 grains, muzzle velocity 725 to 750 feet per second, and a pressure of about 6,000 to 8,000 cup, which is copper units of pressure. The lubrication was on the outside, so it was exposed. And the brass was balloon head, which is considered weak by modern standards, obviously, if you see this. Now the 44 Russian, on the other hand, had a case length of 0.97 inches, a bullet diameter of 0.429 inside lubed, a bullet weight of 246 to 255 grains, a muzzle velocity of around 750 feet per second, muzzle energy of around 310 foot-pounds, and lubrication was internal, which was cleaner and protected, and then the brass was stronger and slightly longer, obviously, because the number is bigger. I know we already just went over that, but I felt it was kind of important to go over it real quick again. Oh yeah, and the pressure was around 12,000 to 14,000 copper units of pressure. The move to inside lubrication not only protected the ammo from the elements, but it also helped the bullet itself engage the rifling better, improving accuracy. Period shooters often report a 3-inch group at 50 yards, which is pretty good for what they had. Modern reloaders still appreciate the consistency of the 44 Russian case for target shooting and cowboy action events. Starline Brass still produces it today for this reason. The revolvers themselves evolved alongside the ammo. The first model Russian had a spurless trigger guard, an 8-inch barrel, and a flat butt. On the second model, the barrel was reduced to 7 inches. They added a trigger guard spur, or a Russian spur, and a humpback grip. And on the third model, they reduced the barrel a little bit more to 6.5 inches and also redesigned the extractor and the firing pin system, or hammer system. Sorry, you know what I mean. And Russia wasn't the only foreign adopter either. Japan, Turkey, and even Mexico fielded variations of the Model 3. Some versions had Cyrillic scripts or imperial stamps. Others had minor variations for local military preferences. And of course, Smith & Wesson made commercial variants for the American public, chambered in both 44 American and 44 Russian, many of which were nickel-plated and ornately engraved. By 1907, smokeless powder was the new king. So Smith & Wesson once again had to extend the case to allow room for the slower burning propellant. The result was the 44 Special, with a 1.16-inch case and a similar 0.429-inch bullet. Shooters loved it for its smooth recoil and solid ballistics, which was sitting around 850 feet per second using a 246 grain bullet, which is pretty good. Still an improvement on both of the old ones. Definitely over the 44 American, but a little bit better than the 44 Russian. But in the 1950s, a man named Elmer Keith and his hot rodding buddies thought to themselves, what if we crank that up to 11? And what did they do? Well, they lengthened the case again to 1.285 inches and stuffed it full of that slow-burning smokeless powder, and boom, the 44 Magnum was born. So from the dusty streets of Moscow to Dirty Harry's Model 29, the 44 Russian's DNA lives on. Now, the 44 Russian may not be so common on store shelves. I mean, I don't think you can go to Academy and buy any, but it's hugely popular with hand loaders and cowboy action shooters thanks to its mild recoil, superb accuracy, very straightforward reloading, and compatibility with 44 Special and Magnum barrels. Modern brass is typically solid head, unlike the old balloon head cases, so keep that in mind when you're referencing original data. A lot of shooters load 44 Russian into their more modern 44 Special or Magnum revolvers for light target practice. It also chambers in many Italian replicas and old school Schofields. Whew, that one took me a minute. Dang, dude. That took me like 50 tries for that one paragraph. I hate my life. From a historical standpoint, original boxes in Model 3 revolvers chambered in 44 Russian are very collectible, especially those with Cyrillic markings or custom engraving. So there you have it, folks, the 44 Smith & Wesson American, the cartridge that almost got it right, and the 44 Smith & Wesson Russian, the one that did, and left a legacy that's still going strong 150 years later. From imperial intrigue to cowboy legends, the story of these two cartridges isn't just about ballistics. It's about innovation, diplomacy, and a bullet design that outlived empires. So if you enjoyed this deep dive into 19th century revolver cartridges, go ahead and subscribe and give us a like. I mean, you made it this far in the video. Most people click off in like the first 30 seconds, so If you're here, you're an outlier, and I appreciate you more than anything. And also ring that bell so that you don't miss what's coming next. We're wrapping up our look at the 44s for now, and next time we're heading back across the Atlantic to check out a beast of a black powder bruiser, the legendary 577 450 Martini Henry. It's the rifle of Rourke's Drift, a titan of the British Empire, and one seriously chunky cartridge with a serious story behind it. But until then, keep your powder dry and your brass polished, and we'll catch y'all next time. Thank you.